good evening, everyone. Shane here from ComX with Jerome from ComX. We're here tonight to talk with Brad and Mark. I just forgot who our guests were. That's pretty bad. And so, yeah, let's get on with the show. Without any further ado. And first up tonight, we've got Brad Daniels. Hey, Brad.
Hi, folks. Hi there, Shane. Hi, Jerome.
Hi. Just quickly, what we'll do is just give us a little brief summary of your involvement in the comics industry.
Okay, it's a long and varied story. It starts in 1994 when I was, it starts beforehand. Okay, it starts when I was a kid and I was really keen on comics.
Yep.
And I was keen for many years, and then in my 20s, I was living in a share house with some excellent artists, and I had a close friend who also ran a print shop. And I said, wait a second, I've got everything here that I need to make comic books with my friends. So that's what I did. We put together a book called Groovy Gravy, which was an anthology of weird humor. It ran from 1994 till 2019, I think.
Wow.
There was only 23 issues in total, but it was a lot of fun, and that's where I started in the 90s. Then I faded off in the 2000s. There was 8 years where I did nothing, and then I got keen again because comic conventions were starting up again. Supernova was a thing. And I said, I'd love to go to Supernova and table there, but I need to have something to sell, so I have to make new comics. And that's what I did. And since then, I've been working on a lot of different stuff. I do primarily humor books and stuff like that. I did work for Australian Mad for a few years there, writing stuff for them in the early 2000s. I run my own company, Edge Comics, and I'm trying to make that my full-time job at the moment. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's
good luck with that.
Me in a nutshell.
Okay, cool. Well, I don't have any questions that I've organised, so I think I'll let Jerome start with his questions while I think of what to say, because I'm very unprepared tonight. So, very professional.
I've been told this, man. It's all good.
Yeah, I've been told that this show is very raw. I found that amusing. I thought that was a nice way of putting it, that, I'm very unprofessional. But yeah, that was a nice way of putting it.
Wherever you are, you're very nice to the show.
You got some
hey, Brad.
questions for me, Jerome?
Yeah, hey, Brad. I think you just answered my supposedly first question. How did you start in the comic book industry? But since you started with a bunch of friends in a share house and someone who publishes, so what was the challenge that you all had coming to you as newcomers into the industry? Because I can't imagine writing and publishing comic books is that easy, that you just go into it as is. So what was the challenge of it?
Here's the thing, Jerome. It's easy if you don't know what you're doing. Because we are this is all my mad brainchild, but we didn't know what was I don't even feel like I'm part of the comic industry today. I'm just still doing my own thing. So we didn't know what limitations we had. We knew we'd never get our comics into news agents, which was the major distributor of comics back when we started.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to print like, I don't know, something a minimum of 5,000 or 6,000, and we did not have that sort of money, so we just printed them up ourselves, sold them at market days and band gigs and wherever we could, record stores, and like if we sold a couple of hundred, it was like woohoo, yeah. So yeah, the challenges were for us. Those challenges were just what we were working around. We didn't know what any better, so we just did what we could. The main thing, I did a lot of writing of comics. I wrote 5 issues of a superhero spoof based on a role-playing game that we played. And that's that'll never see the light of day again. I don't think it'll. But the saving grace for me is that the artists that I was working with were so good. They were all studying animation and art at Brisbane Arts College, I think that was it. And they elevated the work. I had silly ideas. I told silly jokes, which is basically what I'm still doing today. And they elevated it with their artwork and made it into something memorable. It's like people still remember Groovy Gravy around Brisbane today.
Yeah, I've actually heard the name. So someone said it at some stage to me as well. So when you said it, I went, I know that name. Why do I know that name? In the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. You still had more to say? Sorry.
We've got a cult following. In fact, that so cultish that no one knows us. It's a very exclusive cult.
Very exclusive.
Yeah.
So how did you find comics in the 90s? I mean, were there things like comics on demand and stuff like that, printing comics, or did you have to go down to? No, I didn't think so.
No, like I said, I didn't know anything that was possible or what was necessary. All I knew is I wanted to make comics. So there was no distribution for the comics, as I said. And
yep.
My friend Daniel Zimmerman, who is probably the nicest guy you could ever meet, just like a real sweetheart, he printed them up for us because he owned a print shop, and he was printing manuals for computer software and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
He would, I'd bring in piles of these photocopies of pages that guys had done, and stuff stuck all over them, and he turned them into printed comic books. And
that's awesome.
And then I'd say, I'll pay you back when I sell enough to pay for them, man. And then 6 months later, he'd get the money. And but yeah, it was just for me, just a pure joy of being able to hold a comic book and say, I made that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the same joy that most people get out of comics in Australia, because there isn't a lot of money.
That's right. Hold on 1 second. I'll grab one.
Yep, sure.
If it was in the 90s, they're like the ash cans, huh?
I guess they would be.
This is from...
Oh, nice.
2012, I think. So...
Oh, yep.
That was done by... the cover art was done by my then wife. I got stories here. There's one that I drew.
Hang on, sorry, I just realised I could boost you up there.
Oh, wow.
There you are.
So there's all black and white. This was in the period, that's my Batman story, the only Batman story you'll ever need to read. This guy went on to be someone. Rob Cordless. I'm sure he's done some more comic work around the place, but yeah. And I wanted to give a shout out to my mate Brett Williams, who was the finest artist I know. And it's a tragedy these days. He works driving the forklift, and he is one of the most talented artists I've ever met.
Oh, that's a shame.
That's beautiful paneling.
Yeah.
Wow, that paneling is beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I
Like
haven't
doing-
seen paneling style like that.
Yeah, he's had lots of different styles.
Yep.
So I'll look them up on Instagram and let you know where to find them.
Oh yeah.
Check out stuff.
Well, I guess
a lot of stuff. He was working in negative space at that stage.
I was going to say because I guess you've got to go out there and get that day job with comics in Australia for most people.
Exactly right. Okay,
Yeah.
here's Battle Fart on Instagram.
On Instagram, okay.
That's Battle Fart. One word.
That's cute. So
I'll just put that on the comments.
what comic IP started your love for comic books?
What comic IP?
Yeah, which comic titles did you read as a child?
Yeah. Well, I guess there's three answers. First, when I was very young, I would go to my grandmother's house, and she had a pile of comics there, and I would read Rupert the Bear. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's like a very quaint English comic about these like anthropomorphic animals that looks very staid and old-fashioned, and they go on adventures in the woods and have picnics with crumpets and tea and all sorts of stuff like that.
Nice.
So that was the first thing I can remember reading. Then, when I was about 7 years old, they started showing. I was growing up in Bundaberg, and they started showing the Batman TV show on television.
The Adam West one?
Repeats of that, and it was like, "This is the best show in the world." For a 7-year-old, I was like, "Yeah, man, wow!" And you didn't know that they were making fun of the concepts when you're that age. You just knew that it had Batman being heroic and the bad guys were evil, and there was all these crazy fights and Biff Pow Bang, and you loved it. And as I grew older into my early teens, I think the first comic I can remember buying myself was a Spider-Man comic.
Oh.
So I got really heavily into Marvel through my teens until I brought out Secret Wars 2, and then I went off Marvel Comics almost completely for many years.
Oh, yep.
So yeah, those would be the stories that grabbed me. I really started collecting comics with a series that DC bought out called Captain Carrot and His Amazing Zoo Crew.
I've heard of that, but I never read it.
Captain Carrot, yeah.
It was written by Roy Thomas, who I didn't know at the time, but was like this legendary comics writer for both Marvel and DC, who specialized in like reviving Golden Age heroes and updating them for the 80s, for the then current time. And it was drawn by Scott Shaw, and it was just like this really wacky superhero homage with like Captain Carrot and his amazing zoo crew fighting all these funny animal characters, and everyone had a pun name, and it was super heroics, but it was with lots of jokes, which is really affected what I write, I suppose.
Oh, yep. Well, there's a lot of humor in what you write, so I can understand that. Yeah.
So I love me Captain Carrot.
Yeah, and I think Captain Carrot has been. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. Don't quote me on this, but Captain Carrot is being revived by DC recently. I think I've seen a few titles reference Captain Carrot. Yeah. Well, I've only heard of him.
Grant Morrison in Multiversity. He was one of the Justice League that he put together for that. I can't remember what it was called, but Justice Legion or something like that. And one of the major heroes was Captain Carrot. He fought with the power of cartoon physics.
Yeah, because at some point I think I've seen him in Final Crisis or something.
Oh yeah, he showed up in Final Crisis. Everyone did.
Yeah.
Sure.
So if since you've watched the Adam West Batman when it first showed up, so who in your who in your opinion is the best Joker?
Oh, oh, what is?
That's a loaded question
There'd
there.
be like hard questions. Oh,
Because I'm a Cesar Romero fanatic, you know.
I'll say the same thing I do about Batman actors. They each have their own strengths and weaknesses. There's no one that like leaps out at me. I suppose Heath Ledger was the most original take at that point in time.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson just chewed the scenery. You know, even Joaquin Phoenix, was it?
Joaquin Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
he had an
one.
interesting, that was an interesting interpretation of the mythos, but I don't have a favorite Joker actor. I've enjoyed everyone, but there's no one who should I go, yeah, that's me. That's the Joker. I don't think we've had that yet. I don't think we've had someone who I feel is the Joker.
Well, Hamill.
I was going to say that. Mark Hamill, the cartoon Joker.
Yeah, the cartoon Joker is the closest because it's not constrained by the live action. You don't have you know, Mark Hamill doesn't look or particularly act like the Joker, but he has the voice.
Yeah,
and you know, you just project that onto a drawing, and that's your Joker.
Not true. Well, tell us something about your Tales Too Stupid to Tell. I've checked your website and I've seen the samples, so it's quite a cute idea, yeah.
Tales Too Stupid.
Oh,
Nice.
there it is.
This is like a humor book that I did. So it's actually inspired, like credit where credit is due. Back in the 90s when I was doing comics, and there were lots of underground comic artists in Brisbane and Australia, as there are to this day. There was a guy called Damien Wood who did really cool comics, and he did like a mini comic of an old Christian comic that he had taken and changed all the words to it.
Okay,
so
nice.
It had the same art, but it was like, instead of like being about how Jesus is groovy, it was about drugs and stuff like that. Like really subverting the original message of it. And I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I still got that hidden away somewhere in my collection. But many years later, this is probably 2014, 15. I was going to Zix, which is the Zine and Independent Comic Symposium, which is like a convention for zines.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Which was they had that at the State Library, South Brisbane. And I had a few groovy gravies there, but I wanted to do something original to sell at that at Zix. And what I came up with was I found an old horror story, and I changed all the words like Damien had done back in those days, and changed it into a straight comedy. So the artwork was still the same, but like dubbing over an old film, I just changed it to like absurdist comedy. People loved it. They liked it better than anything else I had on the stall. So I said, well, I'll do that again. And I just kept on doing that. And so, yeah, it grew from that. And then I did a couple of stories for Groovy Gravy, and then I collected them into the first issue. And then I did another issue and another issue, and I'm up to issue 5 at the moment. And I also have the collected edition. This is the hardcover.
Hardcover, nice.
I kickstarted last year and had great success. So I think I had about, I'm thinking it was like 50 or 60 orders from around the world for this. It's got an introduction by Anna Lee, who is one of the Cranston sisters that appeared on ABC, the Sideshow. and it's got 110 pages of hilarious comics in it. Yeah.
Nice.
Such as
Oh yeah, that's
the
So was
Murder
that-
War Tights.
Was that
Not
early
the
this year or
original
late
one.
last year? Was that
Sorry?
early? Was that early this year or late last year? That one.
Late last year.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I got that, but I don't remember it being hardcover. Was there a trade version?
There was a trade version.
Ah, that must be
Yeah,
what
you
I
have to
got.
pay extra for the hardcover.
Yeah, I'm a cheap bastard, so yeah, that probably got the cheaper one.
Yeah, like it cost me, like I barely make a profit on the hardcovers because they were like so much more expensive than the soft covers. But I just really wanted to have,
Yep.
I really wanted to have a big thick one on my shelf.
Oh yeah, nice,
Yeah.
very nice. Well, that's what it's all about. Getting out there, what you want to get out there.
Exactly right.
Yeah, especially with these old stories. I mean, I've seen a few attempts on it, but a lot of them didn't really hit it. I won't mention the title of the comic, but I've seen a few attempts at what at the humor that he do, and it doesn't hit the same as the ones that I've seen in your samples.
Oh,
Which is
thank you very much, Jerome.
so.
Well, my secret is I try not to read the actual stories that I'm changing. I just try to I get the artwork and I say, what is happening in this panel? And try to do a literal interpretation of the images that I see in front of me.
Nice.
That's where the humor comes from, because it's like often there'll be like things like, someone will be posed dramatically and it looks like they've just thrown a spaceship into orbit or something like that. It's like, okay, so this person just threw that spaceship into orbit. That's what happened.
Nice.
How do you even find
like
these
that.
stories?
How do
Good
I
question.
find the stories? Well, I cheat. There's a website called Comic Books Plus. Yeah, Comic Books Plus, which is a online depository of public domain comic books. So comics that have fallen out of copyright and are available for free use by the public. And I spend hours and hours and hours trawling through their collection. They have thousands of comics, trying to find stories and covers that are suitable for my purposes. So it's very time consuming finding like stories that have the right mixture of wacky art and just crazy ideas in them that I can use for Tales Too Stupid to Tell.
That's awesome. Well, that's a lot of time consuming as well. That's dedication, my friend. It's dedication.
Well, I don't want to just half-ass stuff. I want to do good comics.
Yeah, of course.
I don't just do those spoofs, but that's the most popular one I seem to do.
All right, what else do you do?
I'm so glad you asked. At the moment, I'm working. I've started doing my own artwork as well as writing. I've always been a writer because when I started doing comics, I was surrounded by these excellent artists. And anything I did looked like pond scum in relation to what they could do. So I didn't even bother. But I've been trying really hard to expand my artistic skills. So there's 2 projects I'm working on at the moment. I'll give you a quick preview of one, and I'll tell you about the other one. So first off is Alpha Strites of Tara. This is like an anime-inspired book. So my friend Gary over in Singapore has come up with these characters, and he really wants to get them out there, He wants them to be the next big thing. So what I've been doing is I've been writing stories using this concept and background he's given us and doing the artwork on that. So this is all my work. This is just a short story introducing one of the characters. So yeah, I did the writing and the artwork, and all the characters and concepts are made up by Gary. So
Nice.
Yeah. I'm very proud of it. This is just a mini comic of a little 7-page story that I did. but I'm very happy with how it came out. I've finished a second story, and I've got another like 3 to do for the first book. So.
Oh yeah.
That's cute. It reminds me of something from Japan that I think it was from Media Factory. Yeah, but the designs are cute.
Yeah. That's deliberately inspired by anime and manga. You know, that's probably the most commercial thing that I've worked on. It's like okay, we're just going to do something that's kawaii, something cute, and get that out there. And it's like, yeah, it's actually, I've been selling that. So the way I'm making money these days is I'm doing like weekend markets and selling both secondhand comics and my comics at a stall there. And that's usually the top seller on any given day will be a copy of Alpha Sprites.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because just a glance at it, I think I know the design inspirations for a few of the characters. So
yeah, we have to work on those and get them a little less recognizable.
Yeah. Well,
cool.
That's why doujins are. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say you're a very good artist for a writer.
Well, it's like people. I show that to people, and they say, "Oh, you're so talented," and I'm saying, "I am not. I am not talented. I just put in a lot of work. It's like 8 hours a page. It's just like taking forever to do the artwork." But
you do a good job.
You know, I've reached a stage of my life and my career where I don't want to just be. If I want someone to illustrate a story for me, I want to be able to pay them for it.
Yep.
And like I realize that some things that I write, like the other project I'm working on, I wouldn't give that to another artist because it's something that it's literally a comic that I think I'm the only person who would be interested in reading. I'm just doing it for myself.
Well, how do you? Oh, hi Lee.
Hi Lee.
So, what's your process of what's your process of writing? Tell us a day into a look into the day of Brad Daniels when you're doing your comic books.
Okay, so writing is usually taken. I usually work from characters.
Okay.
So rather than starting with a plot, I'll start with a character and I'll try and figure out something that would be interesting to a situation that would be interesting to put that character into.
Mm-hmm. I've had a few writers do it like that, so yeah.
Yeah. But having said that, the sci-fi thing I'm working on, which I can't show you because I don't have any printouts of any of the work, it is totally plot based at this stage. Oh, even then it is character based, but it's like But I start with characters, and then I work from there. And like Marv Wolfman, the DC and Marvel Comics writer, came down to Supernova a few years back, and I found his he described the process he went about creating the Teen Titans, the new Teen Titans, and how it was like a personality matrix. Everyone had issues with their father figures. There were people who were there was the person who was always calm and in control, and then there was the passionate person, and there was the person who was pragmatic.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go through that, so you have Raven is emotionless, Starfire is highly emotional, and Wonder Girl is like the in control one. And on the male side, you got Vic Stone, who is like Cyborg, who's highly emotional, Robin, who's in control, and Changeling, who's always hiding his emotions by making jokes and stuff like that. And then he like set up like how each of their relationships worked and how everyone had daddy issues, which were all related, and they had different sort of daddy issues. And I was like,
Who doesn't have daddy issues these days?
It's a trend, baby. Everyone's doing it.
Yeah, so
I'm working on a concept for like I'm very early stages, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But it's like it's like a interpretation of an existing hero. I say I'd really like to write this hero before I die. It's very unlikely I'll ever be hired by the multinational conglomerate who owns that hero, so I'll just do my own version.
Nice.
So I've been working on like concepts of that, and like part of that is like a character matrix, so to try and figure out who relates to who and why and how they feel about things and stuff like that. So yeah, that's something I'm going to be working on tomorrow. I'm very excited about it.
Nice.
Well, tell us about the sci-fi story.
He just said he can't.
It's like it's a mad scheme I have. Ideally, it's a sequel to an existing property.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
But no.
With your twist.
Let me restart that. Can I cut that out? No.
Okay. Rewind. Hang on. Let me see if I can find the button.
It's a high concept science fiction story. I'm working on the operating idea of 6 chapters. The first one I've already scripted and done. The set, like, it doesn't really get. I'm not really excited until I get to the 3rd chapter, which I'm very excited about the idea. And I'm only like 6 pages in on the artwork, so it's going to take. I'm probably going to die before it gets finished. But
positive thinking, that's the way.
Yeah.
Start at chapter 3 and go backwards.
Set across time. It's about. It's based on the Arthur C. Clarke maxim that sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. It's set in distant past and distant future, and it's very much inspired by the work of Jack Kirby and his crazy ideas that he'd do. So,
cool. That doesn't narrow it down, but that's all good. Romans versus what? Sorry,
Picts like ancient Scottish people.
Oh, okay. I wasn't familiar with that term.
And then we cut forward to war in the distant future, and the 2 stories
kind of mesh. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Any approximate time frames? Are we talking like next year or this year or?
Yeah, like I should be working on it right now. So
let's end this and start working on it.
I'm going to say if I can get it done by the first issue done by the end of the year, I'll be very happy indeed.
All right, cool.
So I'll aim for that. We've got 6 months. I can do that.
Awesome. Good target.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. That sounds
Every week I'll ask you how you're going.
Yeah, no worries. Excellent. Only 20 pages left to draw.
Is it nearly done? Is it nearly done?
Well, now look, this is what I need. This is what I need is that motivation of people saying, "Do it." And I'm like, yes, I must do it.
Then I need to ask Shane to keep asking you every week. Then.
Yeah, please do. Get me on the show every week and say, "How are you going with that thing?" And I'm like,
sounds like a plan.
No worries at all.
We've just announced our new regular guest, Brad Daniels, who will be on at the end of every show to check for 5 minutes how he's going.
Yes, indeed. And I'll spend 5 minutes making excuses for why I haven't done anything that week.
Yeah, we can spend 5 minutes end of the stream just checking up on you, and then see how is it.
Yeah, I could probably flash up. Well, if you wanted to go to my Instagram, which is
can you type it all, or are you on
Yeah, I can type.
There's
I'm
a
a big
private
boy.
chat. If you can put your name in the address into the private chat, I'll give it to the whole group.
Okay, let me see. If I hit the chat button, private chat. Oh yeah.
Yep. Just put it in. Just put it in there, and I'll copy it to the main chat.
I'll check to see what it is.
Live TV.
I'm very organized. I was so.
Oh, that's
like,
okay.
Yeah.
You're raw. You're raw. It's all good.
I'm raw. I'm raw, baby. Okay, let's try this. It's actually at Edge Comics. So exactly what you'd think it would be.
Oh, yep, with the X. Cool.
Yeah.
And that's your Instagram?
That's my Instagram. So if you check the second, like I've put a couple of posts up recently, but the second latest one is like pencils of a page that I'm working on at the moment. And you'll also see the work in progress for the Alpha Sprites in there, as well as lots of like market stalls where I'm saying, come see me at the markets.
Oh, yes. I've seen some of those.
Yeah.
All right, just catching up with the audience here. Cool. I just put your Edge Comics out there to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what I might do is, Jerome, ask a question while I do this.
Yeah, sure. Okay. This might be a silly question, but how do you come up with all the jokes that you put in your stories? It's like asking a comic how he does comedy. That's
yeah. I just like I always there's a great comedy skit. I can't remember where it's from. I think it might be The Office, where someone says it might have been like the lead characters, or like people ask, "Were you the class clown?" And I wasn't, but I did study them very closely. So yeah, I've just been doing like improv comedy, like live theatrical comedy for about as long as I've been doing comics. So I started, I think, in the same year, 1994.
Nice.
I teach improv comedy workshops. That's what I was doing last night. And I perform in shows. And in fact, I just did a one-man show as part of the Anywhere Festival last month here in Brisbane.
Oh, cool.
So I've just been trying to be funny for so long that I think I've finally cracked it in some ways.
Awesome.
So lots of much like drawing, it's all like 90%
practice,
perspiration and 10% inspiration. So yeah, that's where my comedy comes from. It's like, and I also I've just got a really weird way of looking at the world, there are very few like asking me what my favorite Joker is. I can't answer that question easily.
Yeah.
No. I don't think most people can.
Just think about this now. Jokers, what's good, what's bad. So I guess it's from overthinking everything. If anything, would be the source of my humor.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Brad, we're running out of your time, so what I might do is tell us about one of the books that you bought.
I've got a big pile of Aussie comics.
You got a big pile. If you can't decide, just take the top one.
I've got the top one. It was by my mate Dave Dye. Amazing Tales.
Oh, nice. And I'll just boost you up so people can see that cover.
Dave Dye is as ochre rinky-dink Aussie as you can get.
Yes.
He's fully in ochre. This is his fourth issue of his ongoing anthology series, where he writes and draws everything. There's 3 stories in it, and it's done in the style of the old EC horror comics. It's even got an intro by the Mad Convict is like the host for the show. It was actually really good. earlier this year, Dave was saying he was giving up on comics because he just wasn't getting any joy out of it. But then I see him down in Melbourne, and he's got a new one. So he's found the love back again.
He's found the love. Nice.
Yeah. Oh, also, Honor Bound. That's good too.
Honor Bound. Who's that? I haven't seen that one.
Ollie Ward.
Dave's.
I think he's in he's from Wollongong, I think.
Yeah, I know the name, but I haven't heard of the comic. So yeah.
Yeah, this is his second issue. I ran into him down in Melbourne as well.
Yep.
No, it was down in Sydney at AusComX pop-up, and he had his first.
Oh, yep.
The second one is a big improvement. It was the first one was pretty rough around the edges, but he's got a good comedic sense of timing with his stories. Yep. And the first issue I recommend because it starts in one genre and then flips unexpectedly into another genre about halfway through. So,
nice.
Worth checking out. Honor Bound, Ollie Productions, Ollie Ward,
yep.
Ollie Ward Comics, OLI.
I'll look him up after this actually because I want a copy now.
I got more.
Cool. We can do one more.
One more. Oh, well, let's see. What's my favorite. Oh, look, they're all so good.
Yeah, okay. Give us your best shot.
Okay, this is the one with the best art. Oh, God. Making me make choices.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, Master and Apprentice by Invisible Ink Studios. This is a very interesting Middle Eastern influenced fantasy adventure with magicians and apprentices, as you might expect.
Yep.
Magic, myths, and a very interesting story which goes places you would not expect. And the art is just absolutely beautiful. I can't remember what's this fellow's name. Daniel Becker. Invisible Ink. Check it out. He also does. He's got several other comics that he's done. He just released a collected edition of this one. Beautiful work, absolutely beautiful work.
That's why I know the name. I think did he release it on Kickstarter?
Yes, he did. I think he did a Kickstarter.
Yeah,
I'm waiting. Edition.
I'm waiting for the collected edition. Then awesome. I've got it. Woohoo!
And he is professional level artist. He is he should be working for the big guys over in the US at the moment. He's got the goods.
Definitely.
There you go.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Brad. It was good to have you on tonight. Oh, you're trying to get one in there. Yeah. Oh no, put in medal. Yeah. Put that one in. I gotta give Morrison the medal.
Okay. Here's my thing. I think it's really good. I don't believe there are goths around when this story is happening. It's historically inaccurate. There were no goths at this point in time. The bad guys are goths. There were no goths. I was there.
I'll have to. Oh, my brain's going blank. I know who actually. Aaron. I'll have to tell Aaron that.
Yeah. Tell him. Brad said. Historically inaccurate.
No goths when there was tape recorders.
Yeah, goths in the 880.
Yeah, those are the Visigoths. They had some thing going on.
Cool. Well, we've got Mark waiting in the room, so in the green room, as they call it. It was wonderful to have you on tonight, Brad. We'll have to bring you on another time. We'll get you to do some reviews on some comics and so forth another time.
Yes, please.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be awesome. The last half an hour of our show is meant to be reviews, so we could grab you for the last half an hour and we could all talk about comics.
Yeah, get me in and I'll do your job for you. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm not doing it, so someone has to do it.
Unpaid internship.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, you have a great night. Enjoy the game.
Thanks, Shane. Thanks, Jerome.
Yep.
Hey.
And see you later.
Bye.
See ya.
Brad.
Okay, that was fun. Our next guest is Mark. I don't think he's ready for us at the moment. There he is. He's just put his head up. Okay, we got Mark. Woo!
Hey, Mark.
Sorry about that. I must have got the time to you wrong. Sorry about that. Or you're just a bit early. One or the other.
Time zones and all. Yeah, crazy. Oh, I'm barely waking up, and it is 10 to 11 UK time in Scotland.
And you're only just waking up.
I haven't slept well, but
Oh, okay.
I'm getting there. I'm trying to find the middle of it. How are
Well,
you?
you've definitely got the props thing going on.
Oh,
Got the sign. I thought I had it going on with this. You're killing it.
Comic-Con at home. That's what it's been the last couple of months. With all the interviews and podcasts and all the other stuff, I've managed to get the setup done real quick. I started up. So this is a small office which is lined with bookcases and toy cases and stuff. And at one point I had a full convention table set up. Now I've just got a large A0 bit of card sitting on a tool chest in the middle of the room, and me on one knee and a cushion. Organized chaos, mate.
Organized chaos.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, for those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about where you started in comics and what got you to where you are today.
Right. So I'm a Kiwi living in Scotland. I grew up in New Zealand, and basically we got fed our comics basically with your Tintins and your Asterixes.
Yeah.
And your corner stores, you'd have stuff like Commando comics, and we had a little bit of the old Phantom and a little bit of the old 2000 AD and stuff like that. And it was when you did get American comics, it was very inconsistent. Like you get issue 2 or 8 or something like that. You know, you'd never get a full run from month to month. So they were a bit impenetrable. And then in the 90s, the old X-Men cartoon kicked in, and I was like, oh, I like this. This is a bit of all right. And I walked into the local comic book shop for the first time because, you know, back then, this fandom and nerdiness was kind of, you know, poo-pooed upon and not really.
Yes.
It was kind of walking through these doors here, and I'm not sure what, you know, I feel a bit weird. but I tell you, the Mark I Comics in Hamilton, New Zealand, have always been the most welcoming and organised place. And the guy there, Chris, is just absolutely amazing. And I walked in there not knowing what was through the front door, and the shop was well laid out and well lit and just organised from top to bottom. You could answer any question on anything you wanted. And at the time, I was looking at the covers of X-Men comics and Marvel comics and stuff. And this one stood out to me. And it was, where are we?
I remember that one.
Yeah, and I was just like, wow, that's impressive. Because in the cartoon at the time, Cable was the, you know, was like mysterious hard ass. You know, he's cooler than Wolverine sort of thing. And there he was with this guy wearing this sort of apocalypse armor standing over him. And this is the first comic book shop comic I ever bought. And and from there I was just sucked in, and you know, most of my I think it was, what was it doing at that point? I think it was working at Burger King. I was 14 or 15. Hungry Jacks for you for the Aussies. Is it still Hungry Jacks, or?
It's still Hungry Jacks, yes.
Yeah, it's a copyright thing, isn't it? So you know, all my pitiful I think it was $5 New Zealand dollars an hour was all going on comic books. And, you know, absolutely loved it. And was surprised because I was about 14 or 15 at the time, and I was surprised how many guys at school were interested, you know, in it as well. They didn't own a lot of them, but I would end up sharing my books with everyone and whatnot. And, yeah, I was quite surprised because I was still, you know, I'm 6'2", I was still a rugby player and stuff, and, you know, not your stereotypical, if you wanted to pigeonhole people, you know, fully into my sport and stuff. So it was quite interesting to see what people were interested in, what I was interested in as well. And it was just across the board. And then, so I was a heavy collector. About for the next forever since then. So in 2010, I flew over to decide to do my OE when I turned 30, and big overseas experience, and ended up in Scotland, and
Nice.
and had about 15 long boxes sent over with me.
Whoa.
So that
That's a
I
lot.
think I've got some of the most travelled comics in the world, because I would have gone from omnibuses from China to America to New Zealand to Scotland to all over the shop.
Wow.
So Mark Miller, Scottish comics creator and creator of the Ultimates and Ultimate X-Men and obviously Hit Girl and Kick-Ass, he did a talent contest in 2016. And I was humming and hawing about whether I should enter it or not. And the missus said, look, you obviously like your comics. You've got a room full of them. Just pull your socks up and get stuck in and do it. So I sat down and wrote a Hit Girl story, a 4-page Hit Girl story. And ended up winning and being published in the first Miller World Annual.
Nice.
So something I wrote in 2.5 hours. I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. And from there I was like, yes, I've made it. I've been published by Image. I've written Hit Girl. That's awesome. Now what? Nothing. So the truth is I didn't really know a lot about the industry. So over the last couple of years, I've spent a lot of time going to conventions. The good thing about conventions in the UK is tiny. It's about the same size as New Zealand, but it's easy to get around, and the density of population and stuff, and the motorways and the train and rail and stuff. You can pretty much go to any convention in the country you want, and you can basically have a lot of access to your heroes. And I went to Glasgow Comic-Con and I sat down and chatted with Goran Parlov of Punisher fame. The creator of Barracuda, chat with guys like Frank Whiteley, and also, just hanging out, having a chat at the bar with them at a convention. And they'd have stuff like
Nice.
trade days where you could it's sort of like teaching days where you'd have guest speakers come in and they'd talk trade and story theory.
That's really cool.
And if I wasn't in the UK, I wouldn't be doing this, because and so instead of listening to everyone's advice and everyone says, what you should do is start writing lots of short stories and do an anthology and stuff like that. I started that and then got a bit carried away, and I created a 5-issue series called This Land.
Oh, nicely prepared.
And that's basically a story where a future New Zealand where everyone has the powers of the gods, and the gods have returned and they're not happy. So it's it's a project of passion, and it's been written and rewritten 100 times over. And what's good about the project is it's completely drawn, all 5 issues. And
Nice.
as of this year, I've been slowly seeding it out book by book every couple of months. So issue 1 was released in February, and issue 2, fresh off the press, is in the mail all the way around the world.
Yes,
today
I'm waiting for mine.
and if I could turn the camera around, there's piles of packaging and tape. There's just stuff everywhere. But it's been really good, and it's been
Quite the adventure.
Other books as well, and they will probably got Schism, which is basically Battle Angel Alita meets Memento, if you can imagine that.
Oh, okay.
And that's done by myself and a Scottish artist. And issue 2 for that will be kickstarted later in October, we hope, and hopefully we'll be have the hard copy for sale at Thought Bubble, which is UK's biggest comic focus convention. Not like your how your conventions are really media focused.
Pop culture.
Yeah, pop culture.
Yeah.
So Thought Bubble is the biggest comic book convention in the UK. So got a table there for a first time. And bloody Frank Miller's coming, so God knows how I'm going to be. I've got to be sitting at a table for 2 days knowing Frank Miller's walking around the place. Jesus. So I'll be doing it. But so that's sort of my comics long short story
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Jerome.
okay. Yeah, I was also thinking what you do if Frank Miller was around. So
Yeah, it's really funny because Thought Bubble.
That'd be hard to sit at your table.
Oh, I don't know how I'm going to do it. And it's going to be interesting too because it's good having a big name like him coming because whilst pretty much the entire UK comics scene, you know, the independent comic scene and guys like your Marvel writers like Cy Spurrier and Al Ewing, Kieran Gillen, most of the big UK names are there. And you get your DC Thompson comics and your 2000 AD comics guys there. And the independent scene in the UK is just massively strong. And I tell you what, it's such a good scene for people who will offer advice and share and explain stuff with you. It has been an absolute pleasure to meet and talk to a lot of these folks and just they know their shit. And am I allowed to swear? It's Facebook. Who knows?
It's all good.
Yeah. It's like what time is it where you are? Is it 11 p.m.
It's
now?
almost 8 o'clock. It's almost 8 o'clock.
Right. We're almost at that PG-13 hour for you guys. So but,
I swear worse, so it's okay.
I'm very lucky to, the Kickstarter's gone really well. I'd hoped to fund the entire campaign, like all the artists for this land. Everyone's been paid up. So the funds for issue 2 will pay for colours and lettering for issue 3. The funds for issue 3 will pay for colouring and lettering for 4. Just made sure everyone's paid on time and in their pocket, sort of thing. So I was hoping to do the whole thing by myself, but COVID being what it is and work being what it is over here, things changed. But Kickstarter's been a fantastic opportunity and experience to. It's actually gotten the book out there further afield and been really, really pleased with the feedback from all over the world. I don't know if you saw this one, Shane. There was a young Irish lad who did a review on it. And I don't even understand him, but oh my God, the enthusiasm. This kid was going to explode. He's 14 or 15 years old and he interviews guys from all over the world, if you can understand his thick Irish accent. But it's fun to see people respond and really get into the story after a story been sitting with me for 4 or 5 years and then finally seeing print. It's just Kickstarter's been a really good opportunity to get stuff into the hands of lots of Americans who might not have seen the story, and
cool.
A lot of Aussies and Kiwis as well, which is great. Which has been fantastic. Like the amount of support from yourself, Shane, and the Aussie guys have been really, really outstanding and very much appreciated.
It was a pleasure. And just I'll just put this comment up here. Rob saying g'day. Rob, check this out. He's all over you on the presenting the comics and having them all on hand. Look at that. Rob, I give Rob a hard time because he's always got comics close at hand to show on the camera.
Yeah.
And he's got nothing on you.
You see, if I turn the camera another 90 degrees, I've got the whole bloody bookcase behind me. It was funny. I was listening to you guys speak earlier, and you're pulling out books and stuff like that. It's like, I should bring some stuff down to show you. What have I got?
You're inspired.
My prized comics positions and all that sort of stuff. But
nice.
I'm massively into Marvel stuff and Cable especially. Ever since this first issue caught my eye. He's been my go-to guy, Cable. And a lot of people get confused by him, but I absolutely love it. It's basically, he's almost like a cross between. He's got this Judge Dredd thing about him as well. There's hard edge and stuff like that. But at the same time, if you go into the character, there's a lot of family stuff in there. He's torn from his parents and then has his own kid died and then betray him, and his wife was killed and all sorts of stuff like that. So there's a lot of a lot of that Greek pathos and stuff in there, the tragedies and bits and pieces. Amongst all, and fair enough, there's a lot of timey-wimey nonsense, and but no, it's good fun. I absolutely love it. And big guns as well, ridiculous 90s big guns and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, he loves his big guns, old Cable.
Oh, I got a ridiculous statue up here, and it's the gun's almost big as the him. It's ridiculous, but yeah.
Well, he's from the future.
Oh, absolutely.
Apparently, guns are big in the future.
Yeah.
What's your Miller World entry, your first foray into the comic book industry, or did you start even before that?
No, it was literally the first comic story I'd ever written, and it was merely just a fanboy. But what I did before I got stuck into this land and everything, like I said, I was lucky with the Miller World story, because they were 4-page story. It's called Hit Girl Mindy's ABCs. And essentially, it's mnemonic device for her to remember how to breaking an entry into a place. And it's the most simplest story in the world, but it was like it won because it was different. It's basically her going through her ABCs. A is the alpha of the man I must top. B is for bridge, the path I must cross. C is clear, the way I must take. D is for darkness, my friend keeps me safe. It's basically A, B, C, D. It's so bloody easy, it's ridiculous. But, it got me in the door. So
nice.
And then Mark Miller, being the promoter that he is, because he's his own best hype man, and he'll admit that, because he does talk a bit out of his backside sometimes, but he's good at it. He was like, oh, this guy, I thought he was from Scotland, but he's actually from New Zealand, which bummed me out. But he could be the next Alan Moore. I'm like, oh my God, no.
Expectations.
Yeah.
You'll get there. You'll get there.
You'll get there, man.
2 hours and wrote ABC and tried to come up with a sentence. That's all I did. But it's fun to have that little blurb, because I can still say, yep, no, that's real. You go to CBR, it's up there. He calls me Alan Moore. The man's trying to sell some comic books, so there you go. I spent a lot of time, and it's interesting, Shane, I see watching your journey as well, and the books that you've picked up, and I've been through a lot of those books as well. Words with Pictures by Bendis, Alan Moore's. Very short. It's about 15 or 16 pages about writing comics, and it's just it's not even a technique thing. It's just his thoughts on comic books, basically. You get stuff like Scott McCloud's Thinking Comics. Oh my God, very famous.
I think
book.
I've got it actually.
You've got it. I know you've got it. Understanding Comics.
Understanding Comics.
Yeah, and that
I've got Understanding, Reinventing, and see if I can remember it. Making.
Yeah, so that book is great in itself, because whilst it doesn't tell you how to write a periodical comic book, it does explain the use of time and space within a book and things like that. Yeah, just going through and picking up silly tips like, always your odds and your even numbered pages, and always make sure the bottom of your right-hand page has something compelling for people to turn the page. You want your page turn there.
Page turn.
What
the old page turn.
There's the reveal sort of thing. So I'm a bit formulaic with a couple of my books. So with this land, I always put a double page spread on page 2, 3. So you start off, you have a little intro, and then bang, you're into the big story sort of thing. Bendis does that a lot, I think.
Okay.
And you see it in a lot of Marvel comics over the last 10, 15 years. So 2 and 3 is usually a splash page / credits page. So you do a little setup, and then bang, you're in on the action sort of thing. Which is, case in point, you got a guy nattering, hey, what's happening? What's going on? And you turn the page, and there's a massive fight.
Yep.
Nice.
Blow it up. But it was, I learned a lot on a lot of the UK comic scene, and they've been absolutely fantastic for helping out and just pointing you in the right direction and stuff.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's been really good. But and there's like one thing. So one thing with this land especially, which is good, is a lot of people have come to me and they said, "Oh, so you're gonna make it into a movie or TV or cartoon?" No. Because if you start thinking like that, then the quality of your you can't say a comic book's going to be a movie or anything like that. You focus on making it the best comic book it can be, and then if shit happens from that, then shit happens from that. And
Exactly.
You definitely, I think everyone's read those comic books. It's like, is this just like it's like someone taking a movie script and trying to adapt it or force it into being a comic. You know, there's been a lot of that bullshit happen. And then you get these big names, so and so Hollywood writers do things, and the books are just awful. I mean, the whole J.J. Abrams and his son thing, writing a comic for Spider-Man, that wasn't a great comic book at all, you know. And unfortunately, they were leaning on J.J.'s name, and his son's never written a comic, and it wasn't a very good comic, and you could tell, but you know, it must have been rewritten and restructured so many times. So I would recommend to anyone before they start blasting out and making comics is do your due diligence and find out what you like the best about the comics you like and why those work. And you know, not everything has to be. There isn't a golden rule of thumb for comic books, but there is still certain formulas and beats and patterns in there that if you understand those correctly, you're going to come away with a half decent book straight away. Because a lot of times you'll pick up some books and the art and illustration might be great, but the story doesn't make any sense, or you've got basically blocks and blocks of word balloons and there's hardly any art behind it. Or, you know, there's a lot to be said for pacing and position and timing with comics.
Yeah, and that's totally true because with the review work that I do for Shane, I've seen that that's a common problem with some comic books. They have this pretty art, but the pacing sometimes is not right for the illustration and the paneling. So So
and you get there's a lot of that in the 90s actually. If you look at some of those old 90s comics, they were just churning them out just to get them out, just to get them. And you know, they were selling millions of comics, but the quality of the storytelling wasn't quite there. Or you know, there's Marvel style where you can, which is what Stan Lee sort of did, where he'd just say, right, here's the plot. The artist would go, I want 3 pages of this, 3 pages of this, 3 pages of this, and then he'd go in after and fill it all in. And that, you know, the man was wired that way. A lot of times now you can't really do that. You have to be quite particular about why you're doing certain things. Like, you can still write Marvel style. There's no rule against it. And, you know, it does give the artist a lot more freedom. But you need to still say, actually, I need these story beats to happen on this page. You can do as many panels you want, but I want these two to have a conversation, and this has to happen at the end of it. Whereas some stuff you see, it's just not right. And I don't think a lot of people go back and look at the books that they love and try to figure out why they love that, you know? So, and also you get a lot of stuff you get where people, you know, who read a lot of comics, but they put a book out and it's just night and day to where what they talk about and what they say they like. And it's like they've missed a trick there. They've just gone and tried to shove everything into a can, and it's overflowing aside, sort of thing, or it's not even half full. Whatever you choose to present your comic as needs to have a strong framework. So you can't just sit down and just blast out 20 pages and then hope it works for the best. You need to know why you're doing those 20 pages and what will lead to, you know, with your story structure, and you know, if you've got an A plot and a B plot, which again you don't have to do, but you need to know. You need to have some pretty decent reasoning as why you're doing certain things. I believe anyway. Again, there's no correct way to do it. Make a comment, but if you have the basic framework in place, it'll be a lot easier in the long run.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. There's little things like don't have any more than 30 words in a word balloon. Some people will only have 25, and that comes down to lettering and as a writer knowing, I've just written this, or more than 2 actions in a panel as well. You see that a lot where a writer will say, he turns around, pats him on the shoulder and looks the other way. That's 3 panels. Turn around, tap on the shoulder, look the other way. Things like that, 1 action per panel sort of thing. And a lot of times that's where artists come unstuck because the writers haven't processed that properly, that, you can only deliver 1 thing per panel.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well,
More nonsense.
Since you started until now, what do you think is still a big challenge for you as a comic book writer and publisher? I guess. What's still the challenge for you?
I think the biggest thing is obviously trying to grow fan base is really tough. I've done something that is reasonably bespoke. I'm living on the other side of the world, creating a story. I'm living in Scotland, creating a story about a future New Zealand, and trying to sell it to British and American readers. But it's going well. But you'd always like to get it in front of more and more people, and that's just a bit of time and patience. I think I've been lucky with the Kickstarter. I've shown that I've been consistently delivering. I mean, again, the second one's all in the mail now, so as soon as that's delivered, people will see. When the first 4 or 5 months of this year, I've run 2 Kickstarters and fulfilled both of them. So that's a good thing to lean on. Still starting off and trying to gain that audience's trust, and does the book deliver on what I said it would do? Is it intriguing enough to pick up issue 3 and 4 and 5? The problem with a Kickstarter over 5 issues is that people might trade wait, or they'll just wait for the 5th issue because postage is a bitch. Everyone knows that. You'd see that, Shane.
Yeah.
Digital books are great though, but it's always tough to give people value for money for those digital books as well. £3 is different than $6 Australian. £3 sounds all right. The equivalence is there with what you could actually buy with it, but a number 3 is easier than a number 6 for a digital comic, and I totally get why people. So it's about providing as much value for money within that as possible, which is tough. It's hard to do.
It would be.
The currency fluctuations and postage fluctuations, just they're the kind of killers in distribution at the moment. But it's a long, exciting journey to see. It's interesting. So the numbers that came back for issue 2 were very close to issue 1. Raised the same amount of money as well, which was fantastic. Had a couple of super backers for the first time, which was like, wow. People like that. One guy, he bought 2 original pages and 2 original sketches and something else as well. I can't remember what it was. And all the books and bits and pieces to go with it. And I was like, it wasn't someone I knew, because often you'll get some of those big backers will be people you know, and just out of the blue, I'm like, is this for real? And you're watching it and you're waiting for the the way Kickstarter works. People could still pull out at the last minute, and I was like, no, this can't be right. This can't be right. This is just someone pulling my leg, and it came through. And I'm just so. I mean, that guy's getting a Christmas card forever. I'll tell you that. But yeah, it's been interesting to see how a Kickstarter works. I was told that I actually ran issue 2 too close to issue 1, because people who get Kickstarters actually are Kickstarter backers especially, are used to waiting a couple of months or even another year till issue 2. A lot of people do it. And the way I named it, This Land issue 1 and 2. So some people thought it was still the first Kickstarter. It's like, no, you've already got it in your hands. So it's very, when you're running things so close together, the timelines sort of blur. And I don't want to be that guy who's on the megaphone 24/7 on social media that people end up ignoring. It's just Mark going on about that again, So, and when you do say something, it's got to be something worthwhile. So I definitely cut back on my communication for the second campaign, and we're going to launch issue 3 in August. So there's a good, it's 2.5 months away, pretty much. Middle of August, we're going to do issue 3. So we're going to give us a
looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, I think it got to you. I think issue 1 got to you in less than 3 weeks, Shane, which wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it was pretty quick, the first one. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing the second one will be the same.
Yeah, I've only mailed the UK one so far, so there's still a part I've got. I'm just looking at it and going, God. There's still a lot.
It's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah. And luckily, my Hit Kill partner, I think I sent you the cover the other day, and I don't really. Oh, look at my phone. I might be able to pull it up. My Hit Kill partner, Oscar, did an amazing Days of Future Past tribute.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Hang on, I might.
Hang on, let's see. I got it on the phone here, so I must have it on the phone. And,
yeah, I've got it.
Absolutely blew me away. So for issue 3, we're going to have a variant cover for the first time, which is great, and have it as available as a pin-up.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll just put it up now.
Yeah,
I've got it.
Yeah. So Oscar does a lot of covers for. So he was the Hit Girl artist for my story in the Miller World. He does a lot of covers for Mark Miller. He does a lot of design work for Miller World as well. And he also did a Loki series covers. He's done Cosmic Ghost Rider covers, all sorts of stuff. But yeah, that's just when he said it, I was like, oh my God. Live for those sort of things, eh? So yeah, I've been very lucky. I've lent heavily on a lot of friends all over the world, and I've been very lucky with what they've helped me out with. For our Schism story, Goran Parlov has done the cover for issue 2 for that, and it looks absolutely incredible. So I'll save that for another day when we talk, maybe. But,
yeah, sounds good.
But yeah, comics over here in the UK are interesting. The conventions are plentiful. There are still a lot of places that call themselves comic conventions, and they don't have any comics at all. You know, you have a lot of fan shows where you got old Doctor Who actors or someone who turned up once on Game of Thrones as a corpse or something like that. And you know what, New Zealand and Australia have a bit of that as well. You know, you get that.
Yeah. We get that too.
You know, but it's every week in the UK there'll be at least 2 or 3 conventions. Now that hasn't happened because we're only really starting coming out of COVID now. Basically from March last year to July we were locked down, and then it was but no conventions obviously through that whole period. Then July to November we were out, and then we were locked down again from all Christmas, November, December through to, where are we, 3 weeks ago, so May. So yeah, it's most of the last 12 months there hasn't been any physical conventions. The first couple start in the next few months. So people are curious to see what's going to happen. I've only had my first jab. So I've got another jab to go before I'll be comfortable to go to a convention. And you know, conventions are basically they are germ fests. You know, con crud and all that real thing. I think when the we try and kill that con crud off with alcohol, because you know there's one thing about the UK conventions. It's a good time to socialise and meet people. But it'll be
lots of social lubricant, eh?
Oh, plentiful. Yeah, but it'll be interesting. I think that might change this year, because I think people are more, people are more health conscious as well, and I guess with Thought Bubble, which is UK's biggest comic convention, is in November, and that is in Hattergate, which is just north of Leeds. So Leeds would be like a Newcastle. So let's say you've got your Londons, your Manchesters, your Liverpools, and that would be equivalent to your Sydneys, your Brisbane, and your Melbournes. Leeds is probably a Newcastle.
Oh, so
maybe a bit bigger. I mean, it's definitely bigger. But
Yeah. I know what you mean by population and so forth. Yeah.
So Thought Bubble's basically in this town of 5,000, just north of Leeds, and so it takes over the whole town for the weekend in this massive convention centre. So people come in for the day and they go away, and everyone who stays there overnight will be the people like myself and all the all the pros, I guess. So, well, not pros and bums like me. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how many people at that point will be travelling, because COVID's certainly mucked a few things up. I know you guys had the was it the Brisbane one or the Surfers Paradise one recently? Convention.
We had the Gold Coast one. I don't know how that went. I missed that one, but the Melbourne one as well has been on just a couple of weeks back. I think was Sydney on this weekend or the weekend coming? I can't remember now.
Yeah. I see that the Armageddons in New Zealand seem to be ticking over. Oh, I mean, God, you guys are good. I mean, apart from Melbourne, you guys have no idea how weird shit's been. It's just it's been an interesting year and a half. So yeah. So
very.
Hopefully things some normalcy resumes, but there'll be a lot of there'll be more fist bumps and masks and stuff like that. So which is hard when you're at a table. You obviously want to engage people, and if you're wearing a mask, then and we're not sure what the rules will be by that point. Hopefully there'll be masks off, but I think a lot of people just have the choice just to leave it on. You know.
Yeah.
Because it's still pretty prevalent, and it's a matter of getting. They've just opened up to people under 40 to get their first shots now, so that's still going to take a while. So but it's good to see things turning a corner and people wanting to get back out there and stuff. So it should be an interesting convention.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, because
here's a question for you. Can you see that?
I can see it. Sigmati Studio. Seems familiar.
Seems familiar, yes.
Yes. My take on Kickstarter fatigue. Personally, it is interesting. It's finding the timing. So, like I said, I put 1 and 2 out in very quick succession. I'm probably going to, as I have for the next one, August. The one after that will probably... So I'm hoping everything will be fulfilled by the end of June. So everyone should have everything in their hands by June. And that gives a month and a half gap till the next one. Whereas last time I just went, as soon as that last parcel was in someone's hands, I went bang and launched issue 2. So I think you do need a bit of breathing room, a bit of space. It's the expectations are different for Kickstarters. But it's been interesting because I had a lot of new people jump on board to support this who've never had a Kickstarter before. So they were like, well, why don't I get the whole story, and why don't I get issue 2 now? Why won't I pay? Why don't I just wait till you've done the whole thing and then I'll get it? And it's like, well, I might not actually have enough money to get to that end if we don't do these steps. I had one mate said to me, well, you're not a charity, you're doing all right. So, no, you don't understand. This isn't a charity. You actually get for what you pay. The only thing is, Kickstarter now do have a big flag warning that goes up and says, none of this is guaranteed. So if you're a first-time Kickstarter backer and you see this big warning come up after you've backed something, you're like, what? But I have to say, so I have to go out and, especially there's people I know, I was like, look, no, you trust me, it's done. This is just the way to collate all the information and get it out there. So there's been a few. It was unusual. I got some pushback from some people because they didn't understand the whole process of Kickstarter and whether they couldn't figure out whether it was like a GoFundMe, But it's like no, you select a reward tier and you get something sent out to you, So there's been a bit of me trying to explain that to people. Fatigue side of things, I'm a bit fatigued of yelling into the void on social media a lot. I do enjoy these experiences, talking to people and whatnot, and I've had some really good conversations and some bad ones as well. It's been because it feels like you're always pimping, but the problem is, and I think I shared this the other day. I saw someone else quote this. I should bring it up on the phone here, but essentially, myself and all the comic creators, there's a reason why we're always talking about it, and it's because we don't have massive publishers behind us. We are our own
Exactly.
spokespeople. So here we go. This is it. The publishing world, aside from major houses, lacks the money to heavily promote books. Authors have no choice, or creators have no choice but to do it themselves if they want their work to succeed. So when you see an author constantly mentioning their book, that's usually why. It's not vanity. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't because hey, I do like doing this, but we don't do it just because we want to talk ourselves up. We do it because we want to get the books in people's hands. We do it because there's, I believe if you, the reason I created this land and my other comics and stuff is because I would love to see the book sitting on a school library shelf or in a bookshop as an evergreen project that can be picked up forever. One thing that this land does that I don't talk about it a lot, but it touches a lot on Māori history and Te Reo Māori, the Māori language. And it's heavier in issue 1 than it is in issue 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. But it's like in Lord of the Rings, how they have Elvish, or Asterix, for example, they actually have Latin. The pirates speak Latin swear words and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of books that I read growing up that did have foreign languages. And I thought, I came to the conclusion, if it's a future New Zealand, Te Reo Māori, the Māori language, would be an integrated part of that. So there's some bits in here that are a little bit bilingual. You've got your caption boxes, which explain how it is, what the word is.
Yep.
Tamariki is children. And I think that's in the first panel. And that's there. And I never mention if Tamariki is mentioned again, we don't say children again because you picked that up the last time. Otherwise, And at the start of the book, it says, I will read it actually. Our journey begins within a reborn world of Aotearoa, New Zealand. Within these pages, you will encounter a land that has embraced its past, but also created something new. You may be unfamiliar with Te Reo, the Maori language, but if you'd like to enhance your enjoyment and knowledge with the correct pronunciations, please use maoridictionary.co.nz. And you can type in the word and you can hear someone speak it. So we never had that.
Oh, nice.
So we never had that growing up. So this isn't I'm not doing it to... The reason Te Reo's in the book is because that's what this future world would look like, I'm not banging a drum about making sure I'm not shoving it down people's throats. It's there to enhance the world and enhance your enjoyment of the story.
And it's part of the story.
Yeah. So it's something I probably should talk about a bit more, but I don't. But it's something that's a big part of the world building and a big part of the story and where it is. And I think one day, if this book can sit on a shelf somewhere, it can be an asset for someone to learn something new and have a great reading experience. Yeah, there it is.
Cool.
Well, as for your team, you're using the same team from issue 1, right? With issue 2?
Yeah, issue 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all the same team. So Pierre Dedelis, who I believe he's worked with Sigmate Studios. Pierre has worked on Wordsmith with Stephen Koch. And he has drawn all 140 pages, all 5 issues of this land. So with the exception of that variant cover that we threw up before, everything is his work. A lot of the design, there's the tribal designs and Māori logos have been done by people with Māori ancestry, who have all been commissioned to do that work. All the character designs have been done by New Zealanders or people with Māori ancestry.
Yeah.
So PR has been given the tools and he's absolutely ran with it. And from issue to issue, it's just been absolutely amazing. And to see Liza Bjorn Jura is the colorist, and she works on books for Scout Comics, Dynamite. I think she's done some image stuff. She's a writer in her own right as well. But her colours are absolutely amazing and eye-popping. And just absolutely
Yeah,
love
they
it.
are. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one thing I did, came to Melbourne in 2016. I think at the start of 2016 for my brother's wedding. So, yeah, I've got a brother in Melbourne and a sister in the Gold Coast, and they've all got kids and stuff. So my brother, they're both married. So, yeah, us Kiwis, we get everywhere. So I went through I went to AusComX, I went to Minotaur, and I spoke to people, and then I went to Singapore after the wedding, and went to this heaps of comic book shops in Singapore. It's really good. And I spoke to all the owners, and I said, "Look, what's popular? What are people into? And they all said manga and kids books. So whilst it is not a fully manga or fully kids book, it has those influences. Kids can read this, and adults can read this and get a lot more out of it as well. The manga style and the cartooning style of PR is there, and it's different from his style in Wordsmith as well. So you see a lot of it is a lot more tighter and American style.
Yep.
Joe Madureira, which this is actually a Battle Chasers homage cover as well, which I should share that on social media at some point. I forgot about that. So
that's why I recognize it.
Yeah, just the shape, the formation of everyone standing in
the formation of how everyone's standing.
The big bag hiding in the corner. So there's a lot of those influences. Joe Mad's a big influence. Steve Skroce, who drew Cable when I was, this one. Yeah, so Steve Skroce, who drew this, he's a big influence on me, and a lot of the design work was based around Joe Mad, Steve Skroce. He did the Matrix design stuff as well with Jeff Darrow. With the Wachowski sisters now they are. Yeah. But yeah, PR was absolutely brilliant. And at one stage he was doing, I think he was doing 2 pages a week. Because I was funding it all out of my own pocket, and then last year we ended up going down to maybe 2 pages a fortnight because COVID being what it was and income and stuff.
Yeah,
But we got there. So I didn't launch issue 1 till the whole book was done. So there's a consistency there, and Liesl obviously on the colours is brilliant, and we're not changing that up. And Hassan Otsmane Alao does the letters, and Hassan does stuff for Image. He does stuff for Image, Dynamite. He's top draw letterer. He's a pro, and he also edits a book called a magazine, digital magazine, which is more of comics review and analysis called Panel by Panel, which is absolutely outstanding. It's like you get for £3. $6 Australian, you get something like 130 pages of comics analysis and review. Really well done, and certainly it's changed the way I think about some comics. Wow. Really good. And he also does a strip panel naked. So if you Google on YouTube strip panel naked, it's a breakdown of a comics page, whether it be colouring or lettering, and he is a clever chap. And it'll go, oh my God, I never saw that, and that's why that happens. And well worth looking up, especially if you're just getting into.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up.
Strip panel naked. Yeah, it's definitely worth having a look. But yeah, PR is just an absolute superstar. So at the moment, he's still doing a few sketches and stuff while he's busy working away on. I think he's working away on Wordsmith #4 for Stephen. So
nice.
But yeah,
looking forward to that as well.
So yeah, you can see he's done this. You can definitely tell he's using a different style for me than he did for Steve.
Oh yeah, very different. Very
at
different.
one point, he was doing 3 or 4 books a week. Because I don't think anyone's in a position where they're Marvel where they can hold an artist down for a month and play them for a month's worth of books at once.
Yeah.
But yeah, progressively, and that's what you got to do when you're making a comic. You've got to, with your collaborators, you've got to have a level of trust, and you've got to make sure the timeline works for everyone. People there are a lot of people who do Kickstarters and they put a Kickstarter up and there's only maybe the first 3 or 4 pages done and you might not ever see the end of it. And I'm a bit over that. I've had that happen a lot. I've had that where big creators have done it, Rob Liefeld, and no one's ever seen the end product, or they have, but it hasn't been exactly what they were told it was going to be, or it was published elsewhere first, and it's When it comes to Kickstarters, you want to under-promise and over-deliver, basically. And it helps if you have majority of the work done. It doesn't always work like that. But, if you don't have your own track record built up, then people aren't going to be... If people don't know you, you definitely need to get the work done first. And unless it's an absolutely amazing product or story and it'll blow everyone away, if you don't have a track record... you've got to have the work done, pretty much.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But what else do we have to talk about, fellas?
I'll let Jerome go and then I'll have a go.
Well, if anything, I might as well comment that whenever I look this land, and I've been trying to figure this out because since the first time I've seen this land and until now, I was thinking of a specific art style that it's been racking my brains for a bit, and I remember that style is similar to Michael DiMartino. Basically, this land's art style is mature Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, so that's definitely one of the influences, which is quite funny. So there's a couple of things that come out. So this story, the plot and everything was written before I'd actually watched Avatar. And I know Avatar's been out for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, it's so interesting. So it's interesting to see influences of the art style, and I know PR will agree there'll be stuff there that's influenced him, because what happens in the story of this land as well, people of certain areas of New Zealand, so New Zealand's quite a vast geographical landscape. You have your golden beaches in the North Island, you have your Southern Alps in the South Island, in the middle of the North Island you got boiling mud pools and all sorts. And the idea was, what if this landmass rose even further from the earth, and a godly power seeped into the people, and basically the powers and energies of the people of these areas reflected those areas. So Auckland, for example, has 1,000 dormant volcanoes. If the continent shifted, those volcanoes are going to go up in smoke. So Auckland is now Axeland, which the people who survived, there was only 100,000 survivors out of a population of 1.5 million. They have the ability to manipulate heat and fire and flame, not unlike Avatar, but a little bit different. So Helena here, for example, she can't wear clothes. So she's actually covered in lava and clay, and she can make her own symbols and stuff with that. She can't have a facial tattoo because her skin is too hot and would burn off any ink that would put into it. So she uses clay to mold and shape her clothing and things like that. And that's interesting where a little bit of the Avatar stuff comes in. Other stuffs that we say, if you're into Avatar: The Last Airbender, Moana meets the X-Men is another line I use. And Moana's been interesting because it's really funny with Disney Plus and seeing. I don't think a lot of people actually saw it in cinemas. In New Zealand, Australia, they did, but globally they didn't. And it's interesting to see it always being in the top recently, most watched thing, which blew me away. It's a good story, but a lot of people don't know Polynesian culture around the world. Maybe a bit of Californians do, I would imagine. Hawaii and Samoans and stuff like that.
A little here too, Yeah,
but and a few, the British, the people of the UK have a fair idea of Maori and Pacific culture through rugby and stuff like that. And but it's interesting to see people starting to identify and recognise these things, which is great. It's a nice byproduct, and I think the timing's there for this story to really, really do well. But I would say PR is very He's also a little bit Joe Mad, a little bit Humberto Ramos as well.
Mm-hmm.
Touch of that, not as exaggerated, but yeah. But he's very good at doing whatever style best suits the story. You know, you can tell it's still him, but this is definitely different.
Yeah.
And than what he does for Wordsmith and stuff. So yeah, that's the cover for issue 3. There might be a few tweaks to that by the time we're finished. And that's
cool.
That's a kaiju.
Looks awesome.
That's a kaiju fight underground. So
Nice, just what you need.
Absolutely. But I won't spoil too much for you because you have to read issue 2, Shay. Did you get your digital downloads? Did they turn up?
Probably, but I avoid reading them. So
Yeah. No,
I like to read the physical.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. It's a good one. It's and one thing that was good because of PE's art, because it's so clean and clear. What's also difficult with Kickstarter is to try and find unique and original rewards. Because a lot of times, I'm gonna probably I've got a couple more pin-ups to come in the next couple of campaigns, but by the end of it, you're gonna end up with 30 pin-ups and stuff like that. So we'll be slowing those down. One thing we've done because of PE's art is a couple of these colouring books, which has been fantastic.
Yeah, the colouring books is awesome. That was an awesome idea.
So we can use some of the pin-up art. We can use some of the story art. Oh, that's kind of a spoiler. Is that upside down? Yeah, that's upside down. You know, and they can also, because they're out of context, because there's no word balloons or anything, there's a lot of stuff here that, you know, it's a teaser, it's a preview for the rest of the story as well. So,
oh yeah, cool.
That doesn't come to issue 5. So, yeah. So I can't wait to see Liesel's colours on a lot of these as well. You know,
nice.
So yeah, the colouring books. So we've only got enough for 2, and in some cases, you know, there's a couple of panels on there and whatnot. Like that. So they serve as sort of like an adult colouring book / kids colouring book as well. And all sorts of people have been using it. And it's also pretty much a teaser for the rest of the series. So that's been a great option.
Nice.
I'm looking. Pins are another one that people do love. So we've got our Araha Comics logo, but I'm looking at possibly releasing a pin set of all the tribal designs. And you kind of see a little bit of it on the back there and in the cover.
Oh yeah, cool.
Things like that, because they're small enough to mail and bits and pieces as well. And I'm a bit torn on the can cozy, the bear cozy. So might be doing one of those. I'll have to have a think about it, because it could be for a soft drink. It doesn't have to be for a stubby or a beer, but you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I'm just going to fire one last question at you before we go. With you were saying before, with getting your structure right and everything like that for the comic, is there any piece of advice that you'd give to an up and coming writer other than that?
So I'd work backwards, as in, I have what are my restraints? How many pages do I have to tell this story? Right, start there. Because it'll make you a better writer if you have that framework set out. Right, I have a 4-page story. Okay. What do I need to tell in this story? At the bottom of each page, there needs to be a page turn or a reveal. Is it going to be a digitally distributed story? Because then you won't have to worry about a page turn sort of thing. Maybe the last panel on each page, you know. How is it going to be distributed? Is it webtoons? We just scroll all the way down. You don't need those page turns, you know. So you have to understand the context of how you're developing and how you're presenting the story. So if it's a 4-page short story, you've got 1 page on the front, and you turn it, and you've got a double-page spread. So you don't necessarily need a page turn on your left-hand side page or your even pages, because people's eyes will already look at the next 2 pages, right? So, for example, so you see here, when you turn the page, you see this happen. So, but you already see this. No matter what, you'll always glance at this page. So you don't need a reason here to go to here. You know, it's little things like that. It depends how you present it. Do you just with the story? Sometimes it's better. You've got all the backstory and setup. Just maybe just throw them straight in the deep end if it's a short story. Start off with a bang. You know, all this stuff has happened, and then you might reveal that in your story. 26 words per balloon. Don't have more than four. Don't have it more than four word balloons per panel. It all depends on the size and structure, obviously. But I would do 26 to 30 words per balloon, max. Because if you look at some old Alan Moore stuff, that is heavy shit. There's a couple of writers who overdo it, but they're known for it, and that's their style. One action per panel, or you can have, say, issue 2 here. There's multiple actions happening in this panel, but they're all doing one thing at the same time. You know, they're all striking, hitting, or whatever. They're not doing multiple things in the same panel. Pay your collaborators. If you can pay them up front. If you can't, do a deal where maybe when every page comes in, you pay them for that page. You know, so you deliver the work, I'll give you the pay, or half pay for that page beforehand before you start, and the rest of the pay afterwards. You won't know. It's about collaborating and understanding a partnership and what works best for both people. Do trial pages with people. We did a trial story for this land, and that actually ended up being incorporated back into issue 1. There's 4 pages. I did a 5-page short story with PR and a couple of other artists, and I paid them all for that stuff. Those other artists, their work will never come to light, but it shows from me that I'm professional and I wanted their best work, and I valued their work. And people will put their best foot forward if they know they're getting paid for it, rather than if there's any money at the end, we'll see. Unfortunately, artists work freaking hard. It takes a day or days to do a page in some cases, and you you cannot as a writer expect them not to get paid. You know,
no.
And that's where I am. Yeah. I'm here. Up come. My dog's here.
Oh, nice.
No. Look at that.
Wants to be part of the show.
How'd you get up here? Hey? Yeah. Got the doors locked. That's pretty much me. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you very much for coming on, Mark. That was great answering questions there and getting into your head a little bit and telling us a bit about this. No, only a little bit. We don't want to scare people off or anything.
Absolutely.
Thanks for telling us about this. And thanks for telling us a bit about this land. I'm looking forward to issue 2. So I haven't read the digital, so I'm looking forward to the physical. So yes. I'll find out what it's all about then.
Oh yeah, but it's hopefully what's the date now? It should be there by the end of the month, actually. 9.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah. Hopefully, yeah. If same.
Oh, it depends on the post as well.
Oh yeah.
So you know.
I don't even know if they put it in a plane. I don't know if they're taking on a slow boat or what. It's been very inconsistent post globally. I know someone in I think someone in California got theirs before New York by about 3 weeks. Go figure that one out. So
yeah, that's a bit of a weird one.
Postal Service is quite in a bit
random.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, our pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
And we'll let you go back to your, I think it'd be about lunchtime.
Yes, 10 to 12.
10 to 12. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you enjoy your lunch. Thanks for coming on. And
No
see you next time.
Cheers, guys.
See you, Mark. Cheers.
See you.
Hey, Jerome, that was fun.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was fun.
Now, what we're meant to do at the end of the show is go over some comics that we've read, and I've been really slack, and I've read none. So I'm going to put Jerome on the spot. And was wondering if you want to tell us a little bit about Chimera.
Yeah. Okay. Chimera. I've been reading Chimera number
Chimera,
one by a good friend of the show, Hayden Spurrell. And Chimera number one, for those who haven't seen Hayden's guesting from CCCX, is basically about the story of Ellie. It basically the basic story of it is she's been having these recurring nightmares for the longest time in her life, but there's a reason why she's getting them, and organizations are trying to get at her for because of these nightmares, and the entire story is basically her looking to get rid of these nightmares, while these shadowy organizations are want more of these more.
Yeah, they want to use them. They want to
Yeah,
use them.
well,
Yeah,
they want to use them for their own purposes. It's quite a great read. Hayden was the story is really straight. Hayden did a good job steering the ship properly, and
Yep.
the art itself is crisp. And I totally recommend people reading this comic book. And I think 2 and 3 are on the way soon, as far as I remember.
Very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, very soon. They're either out already or they're coming out very soon. I can't remember which. If Hayden's in the audience, let us know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I've read this one too. I have read this one, but a while ago. It was a good book. It's you're sort of left wondering what exactly these nightmares are about. I've got my theories. I think Jerome's got his theories. I don't think they actually. We kind of overlap, but we kind of don't. So we've got a little bit of a difference of opinion there. So that's the cool thing about the story. You get to interpret what's going on. And I'm looking forward to 2 to find out if my theory or Jerome's or both of us are wrong and both of us are right, or what the story is. But it was an interesting read, that's for sure. And I am looking forward to number 2. And I've just got to learn to correctly pronounce it Chimera instead of Chimera, which I keep doing. Well, I think I'll just leave it at that. We're almost on the 2-hour mark. So thanks, Jerome. It was a pleasure being with you again tonight. Chimera.
Thanks.
Yeah, they're out already. I've just got, hang on, I'll just share that up on the screen.
Oh.
Dave said they're out already. I wasn't sure if they were out already or not.
Yeah, so find Chimera 2 and 3 and see unlock the mystery from 1, 2, and 3. So
that will be my mission now, to find out where to get them and get them. Cool. Oh, thanks again, Jerome. I'll just get onto the right page here, like I always seem to have troubles doing. Have a great night, everyone out there. Thanks for joining us. We had a great time tonight on our first 2-hour show, and look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, which is our new time from now on.
Yeah,
as we have 2 guests every week. So I look forward to doing that more. Jerome, have a great night, and everyone else there, have a great night, everyone. Thanks again. See you.
See you guys. Cheers.